I wanted to take a step back and look at 2025 as a whole and look at trends, honestly very popular products in 2025, as well as some of the top headlines that happened in 2025. If you guys are new here, hi, I'm Stacy. I feature unfiltered makeup opinions. I'm that marketing journalistic lens on the beauty space, and I also have like a news series. I like to talk about trends. I have unfiltered series. Definitely go check all those out. And we're taking a step back and we're looking at 2025 as a whole. What was trending in 2025? What were some of the like what were some of the trends that we saw in 2025? What were some of the most popular products that we saw in 2025? And what were some of the top headlines that I talked about on my channel, and let's get into it. When we talk about trends, and when I was thinking about trends, there were a couple different ways that I was looking at it, as far as like, okay, what kind of video trends were we seeing, but also what kind of makeup trends we were seeing. And I have, you might see me looking down, but I actually wrote down a whole bunch of stuff in my notebook, and I am ready to talk about it. So we saw a lot of minimalism and project panning this year in 2025. I think to Samantha March, who started a project pan series slash like a shop my stash series where she would show like what she was really using, and she was very consistent. Almost every single month she was uploading a shop my stash video. I did do some shop my stashes in 2025, and I will link the playlist for you guys. I ended up stepping back from the shop my stashes. I just found I didn't have a lot of time to do them because I was not necessarily testing new product, but like there's a lot of product that I was just consistently reaching for. And I was traveling a lot at the end of 2025, like August, September, October, and November. So my consistent use of products, like there was only certain things that were in my makeup bag. But I did do a lot of shop my stashes in 2025 as well. And those became like super popular, I feel like, in 2025. And I also feel like along that lines of like minimalism, we also saw Throwback Thursdays, Betty Jean, Betty Bean. She started a Throwback Thursday series where she started using products in her collection that she was throwing back to. And that was something that we also saw take launch in 2025. And I saw some creators doing that as well. I also saw, as far as like different types of like trends that were popular, and I would say more uh I would definitely say these were trends. Red light therapy was a huge one. I don't even know how many ads for red light therapy. I saw Kelly Gooch, who has been also promoting a lot of red light therapy, and I've actually done a lot of research on red light therapy, and I would like to do more. But I have heard that red light therapy actually can help even skin tone. It can help with fine lines. It can help with blemishes that you have. So, red light therapy has become a huge thing in 2025. And I honestly foresee that becoming even bigger in 2026. But I also foresee a lot more brands coming out with like red light therapy devices because there really aren't a lot on the market right now. So I do foresee something like that happening in 2026. As far as like in general products, like I'm not talking like specifically, but trends across the board for like makeup releases, we saw a lot of lip liner stains at the end of 2025. Actually, we're still seeing a lot of lip liner stains. Huda came out with some, NYX came out with some, CoverGirl has some, and I foresee lip liner stains becoming more of a trend in 2026, especially at the beginning. And something to make note of, because we are in the winter months, is that like lip liners, the stain, they can dry out your lips. So I'm hoping that these formulas are not drying. On top of the lip liner, like on top of the stains for lip liner, we also saw just lip stains in general. I feel like I saw so many trends of lip stains throughout the year of 2025. You just put on a little bit of a lip stain and you're good to go. Some people were even using a brush and using the lip stain as a lip liner, hence why we got lip liner stains. And we also saw a lot of tubing mascara. I don't know how many launches of tubing mascara I saw in 2025, but it was quite a few. And I think it was kicking off from the Tartelette XL tubing mascara that was late 2024 that became super popular. But here, sitting at the end of 2025, Urban Decay has released a tubing mascara. I would not be surprised if we actually saw L'Oreal come out with a tubing mascara, but we have seen Milani, the drugstore. We saw Essence at the drugstore come out with a tubing mascara, and CoverGirl just released one. I'm waiting for some of these higher end brands to come out with tubing mascaras because I feel like that's going to be a trend in 2026. We also saw a lot of just lip liners in general, not just lip liner stains, but like I feel like lip liners were like the bread and butter of 2025. Like we think about Singe Beauty, which is independently owned by Aniela Kanikvis. She came out with a whole bunch of lip liners, 9 in total. We also have Huda Beauty, who came out with lip liners, and we also have the new lifter liners from Maybelline that just released, like just more colors. Lip liners are huge this year, like in 2025, especially at the end of 2025, and that's a trend that I foresee also going into 2026. We also saw a lot of setting powders, and I will get to actual popular products that were trending that were like super popular in 2025, but in general setting powders were huge, specifically loose setting powders. Huda Beauty, L'Oreal, Juvia's Place, LA Girl, like tons of loose setting powders were released in 2025 that became super popular. We also had a lot of plumping foundations. I was actually sitting here looking at all the foundations that have released, and I actually have a couple of them on my desk. So we have the Natasha Denona one. This was a plumping, like hyaluronic acid foundation, hydrating and blurring longwear radiant serum foundation. Hydrating, plumping, high glam. And then we also have this new one that's the plumping glow up. The ABH one was supposed to be hydrating and plumping. We had a lot of foundation releases that centered around like hydration, plumping, like rejuvenating the skin that were like serumy in nature. We also saw a lot of bouncy blushes in 2025. I was looking and I was like, wow, Tower 28, Rare Beauty. We have Makeup Revolution that came out with bouncy blushes. We have Maybelline that just came out with the Cloudtopia blushes, which are literally described as like a bouncy blur blush. Yeah, a mousse blush, which to me means like bouncy. We've had so many like bouncy blush releases in 2025, specifically at the like we had a lot at the beginning of 2025. I feel like we kind of took a hiatus during the summer for some reason, and then at the end of this year we've had a lot of bouncy blushes again, like blurry, moussey, bouncy blushes. There were a lot of neutral palettes that also released in 2025. I'm thinking of like independently owned makeup brands like Singe Beauty. She released the Paisley Hoop palette. That was like a very warm toned neutral palette, which was like completely blew up, honestly, in my personal opinion, because Angelica Nyquist, who is known for her color, she released a neutral palette. We had a neutral palette from Sigma Beauty. Makeup by Mario released a neutral palette. And we just had so many like neutral palettes that were released this year. Natasha Denona, she had not one, but two palettes that she released at the later half of 2025 that were both neutral. And she had started out 2025 with the Peach palette, which was like more of a peachy tone, but it was still neutral. 2025 was 100% like we had so many eyeshadow palettes that were neutral. Not to say that there weren't any colorful ones, but we had a lot of neutral palettes, more than I am apt to seeing in other years. And we also saw the powder puff. The powder puff came back into trend. I swear, so many people started using powder puffs. And this was more of a thing like when Tati released her Blendiful and her mini Blendiful, but that was like forever ago. And all of a sudden, we're using powder puffs again. I'm setting my powder with a powder puff 9 times out of 10, where people are actually using these to apply their concealer or their foundation. And these just became such a very popular, inexpensive tool in 2025. I can't tell you how many powder puffs I have. It's too many. Also, for like trends in general, press on nails. Press on nails have become a huge thing in 2025, and we're talking like glamnetic nails, red aspen nails, nail reformation nails, curve life nails. People are looking for low maintenance, but it looks like it's not low maintenance. Something that covers your nails, it doesn't damage your nails, but they look nice at the end of the day and they last for at least a week to 2 weeks. And we saw a lot of press on nails in 2025. I partially think that's due to like the way the economy is right now, and a lot of people are stepping away from like a little bit more of a luxurious type of service, like getting your nails done, and they're doing press-ons at home. It kind of feels like a flashback to 2020 when we couldn't go get our nails done, so we all resorted to press-ons or gel-ons or certain things like that. And press-on nails are like bread and butter of 2025 when it comes to like nails. Let's talk about popular products. We talked about trends of 2025. You heard a little bit about my thoughts of what's going into 2026. If you guys want to see a 2026 predictions video, leave me a comment down below. Let's talk about popular products, okay? Because there's been quite a few, and I feel like the Shelby Ann makeup routine has been a big perpetuator of this because she brought into light some of these amazing drugstore products that can really create a filtered makeup look on your face, but they're also a newer release as well. The first one that I had to mention is the Blur Perfection Powder from L'Oreal. I have two of these. I have the transparent one and I have the pink one. And I have not stopped using this powder, but I've also seen it go viral on TikTok. It is very well talked about here on YouTube, and it is just a amazing product in general. Very blurring, very, very brightening as well if you use the pink one. The next one that I saw is aerosol mists. Specifically, the L'Oreal Infallible 3-second setting mist. This was one that I picked up in 2024 in Las Vegas. I've gone through like four of these now, and apparently, it is the only drugstore option on the market that is comparable to the one size setting spray. And the one size setting spray is also very, very popular. But aerosol mists that leave your makeup like just suctioned to your face and it doesn't move, that is a huge trend in 2025. But specifically, product in general, this has been trending in 2025. Another one would be the Maybelline Bubble Mascara, $2.1 million in sales on TikTok. That's crazy. I did cover that entire thing in one of my videos, and I will link it for you guys or put it in the description if it doesn't fit in the eye. But the bubble mascara from Maybelline, $2.1 million in sales. I've actually grabbed two tubes of that mascara now. Like I've gone through two of them, and I actually need to pick up a third one. That one was very, very popular in 2025. Also, the L'Oreal True Match, the technically it's reformulated, and the reformulation happened sometime I want to say in 2024, if not late 2023. But this became popular again because of the Shelby Ann makeup routine. I couldn't find this product for a long time. I actually had to I'm lucky that I had some already in my stash, but this was a product that like you would walk into like your local Target, you would walk into Ulta Beauty, and a lot of these products that I'm mentioning, once they were on the shelf, people kept buying them and you couldn't find them anywhere. Specifically, also the Blurfection powder. Like I could not find that one for the life of me until one day I just happened to be in Walmart and nobody had like picked it off of the L'Oreal shelf, and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to grab it now." And I did. And it has been one of my favorites to use. Another one that has been super popular in 2025 would be the Thera's Milky Toner. This is another one. I walked into Target, I walked into Walmart. I could not find the Milky Toner anywhere. And one day I was in Target in Indiana. Okay. Indiana, not where I currently live in New York. I was in a different state and finally found the Milky Toner, and I grabbed it because I knew I wasn't going to be able to find it anywhere else. Like it was insane trying to find this product. I'm not gonna lie. Those were some of the like most popular products in 2025 that come to mind when I think about what defined 2025 as like some viral products. Honestly, these were it. If there's any that I missed, leave me a comment down below. But those were ones that really stuck out to me in 2025. As far as top headlines go in 2025, and I'm gonna try linking these in the description box because I know all of the things are not gonna be able to fit in the eye. We started out 2025 with one of my videos and we talked about the Patrick Ta moldy makeup allegations. And this was something that a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. How is he not doing any type of a recall on it? Why is he not issuing some sort of statement? We still have not heard anything from Patrick Ta in regards to these moldy makeup allegations. He's not replaced the makeup. And I feel like that story just kind of went wash. Like it really there was no follow up to it because nothing really happened or came of it after we found out about these allegations. Not saying that there was mold, but there was something wrong with the makeup. And besides him issuing a statement that it had something to do with blooming because it was exposed to extreme temperature. That's all we got from the brand. And I'm actually curious to see what's going to happen in 2026 with all of these new mini blush releases, all of these like eyeshadow duos that he also has. I'm curious to see if we start seeing that same problem in his products coming into 2026 because it'll be about a year since he released those products. So let's stay tuned for that as well. Hopefully, I will have a follow up to that story. But so far, I haven't had one all year. Another one that we started out 2025 with was we finally got the full story of the Glam Light lip kit controversy. And basically, the person who created the drama behind the Glam Light lip kit controversy had completely lied. And I actually covered this in a video as well. And I will try linking that for you as well. We also had the TikTok ban in early January. And I actually posted a video like, is the TikTok ban actually a bad thing? And honestly, to this day, I don't necessarily think the TikTok ban is a bad thing because it's taken a lot of traffic from other social media platforms and it's really affected every single algorithm that we have on every single social media space. And if we lost TikTok as a social media platform, maybe some of those other platforms would get flooded again with creators. That would be amazing, in my humble opinion. We also had Charlotte Tilbury and her rant about dupes. That was a bit much. She was attacking people on her website, specifically were what is assumed to be, we don't really know, but what we assume to be Elf and some other brands that were actually duping Charlotte Tilbury with her packaging and with the way that they were approaching things. And she had a whole rant on her website about being like the best in the business. And that was definitely something that I covered, asking, like, is she ruining her reputation by having these sorts of rants to her customers? We also had Wayne Goss who stepped down from his cosmetics brand. That was honestly a sad moment. We really don't know why. And honestly, I wish Wayne the best of luck. He's still posting on YouTube. He's one of my favorite makeup artists, and I think he is just so incredibly gifted and talented. We also had Rhode, who was bought out by Elf. And this was a very shocking, very, very shocking headline because it was for a sum total of $1 million. And there was some caveats to it where the total amount would be $1 million, but they bought it out at like 800,000, if I remember, or something. I'll have to editing Stacy is going to have to insert what the actual one was, but there was like a finite number, 1 million. Some of it was upfront, and then the rest of it was contingent upon sales from Rhode. So Elf did buy out Rhode Beauty, and that actually led into a couple of other headlines that we'll be talking about in a minute. The Shelby Ann makeup routine became super popular. That was one of the headlines. I saw so many beauty creators here on YouTube recreating that. And like I said, she influenced so much of the popular products in 2025, a lot of sold out products. Like, it is crazy how much she influenced how much of these products on my vanity are from the Shelby Ann makeup routine. We also saw the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle jeans ads. That was super controversial. I do have a full video on that, but basically it was along the lines of Sydney Sweeney has great jeans, and a lot of people were concerned it was racial. It has Nazi tendencies behind it, and I do have a full video of that as well. And that was such a huge thing, especially in the fashion industry, which I don't usually cover a lot of like fashion. Usually I cover a lot of makeup, but I do like to talk about fashion every once in a while as well. Fashion is a part of beauty, honestly. Like, it's all a part of how you present yourself, and fashion is your own specific style, just the way you wear your makeup is your own specific style as well. We also saw Euphoria close, which did not come as a shock. Uh, that was after they had their whole foundation scandal and they weren't really releasing anything in 2025. And it was like middle to end of 2025 that all of a sudden they announced that they were closing. And a lot of people were not shocked by that, but it was still very newsworthy. Another one, actually, something that was super newsworthy was the Urban Decay for reformulation of the One Nighter setting spray and how they literally just like ousted Scandinavia, the patent holder of the original formula. And basically, it was just a dirty business overall where Urban Decay never notified Scandinavia of the reformulation of their contract being null and void after a certain amount of time. It was a huge scandal, a huge controversy, and Scandinavia is a independently owned brand, and they are now sold on Amazon, so you can buy their products there as well. I did do a comparison between the Scandinavia Urban Decay formula and the new Urban Decay formula, and there are definitely differences between the two, and they were using very similar marketing to what they were using before with the Scandinavia formula to promote the new formula. It was a huge thing. And at the end of the day, Scandinavia, they are now on Amazon, and I've actually found a lot of people have been purchasing more from Scandinavia, and it's still quite a touchy subject. I still get comments on that video about the side-by-side comparisons between the two like all the time. Now, remember how I said that Elf had bought Rode for $1 million collectively? There was like that lump sum due up front, and then the rest is payable upon it's contingent upon how many sales Rode does. Well, then Elf had an ad with Matt Rife. And that was also after they had announced that they were raising prices by a dollar among a lot of their products. And there were a lot of people who were very angry that they were raising their prices again because they raised them in 2024 by a dollar and then they raised them again in 2025 by a dollar. And everybody was commenting that, maybe you shouldn't have bought Rode for $1 million. And then they did an advertisement with Matt Rife and Heidi in Closet, which ended up backfiring in multiple ways because Matt Rife is a very controversial figure who has joked about domestic violence, which has not come across in any way, shape, or form as being, couth by any means. So Elf found themselves in a lot of hot water with them acquiring Rode, with them raising prices, and then with them having a advertisement with Matt Rife. And a lot of people were like, okay, so you raised prices so that you could pay for Rode and hire Matt Rife, who is joking about domestic violence. Another thing that happened this year was that KVD Vegan Beauty was sold, and that kind of came as a shock to some people, but not really. And then Flower Beauty, owned by Drew Barrymore, she's the founder of Flower Beauty, one of my favorite drugstore brands. That brand was announced as closing and they have officially closed. I was actually looking for like Flower Beauty on the Ulta Beauty website because at one point they were like $4 a thing. And I have some of my favorite blush formulas from them. Some of my favorite highlighter formulas are for them, and everything was gone. Flower Beauty, you can't buy it anywhere anymore, obviously because it's closed, but the inventory is gone as well. And it really made me sad. Then, not even a couple weeks ago, we had the controversial headline that Rinny by Shay Mitchell was released, and it is skincare for children and toddlers. And that has been a very controversial subject in and of itself. And I go into a lot more detail about the Rinny skincare for kids. But basically, in a nutshell, at the end of the day, dermatologists were saying that even though they claim it to be safe for children, there are still ingredients in those sheet masks that may not be safe for children, on top of the fact that they are promoting it for kids that are 3 to like 12 years old, and kids who are 3 do not need a skincare routine. Kids who are 6 do not need a skincare routine. Honestly, a child does not need a skincare routine until they're prepubescent, which is like 9, 10 years old. And then dermatologists also recommend that you have a very simple skincare routine for your child that doesn't have a lot of hyaluronic acids or niacinamides. It's just a very simple routine of a cleanser and a moisturizer for your child's face. So that was a huge controversy at the end of this year. And then we also had Jaclyn Hill's rant on social media. And subsequently, we've had a lot of talks about whether or not the influencer era is coming to an end. And a lot of people have had to weigh in on that, even people not in the beauty industry, but people just on YouTube in general who have been weighing in on the fact that maybe the influencer era is over because they are so like there are some influencers who are disconnected from their audience, and their audience is craving realism, authenticity, and they're also craving truthfulness, and they also don't want that luxury lifestyle like thrown in their face. These were all top headlines that happened in 2025. When I added them all up and I counted, I was like, there's 25 headlines from 2025? Not 25. I counted wrong. There were 15 headlines from 2025, which that's still a lot of headlines for 12 months. That's, that's at least one top headline a month. that was happening in the beauty space. And honestly, I know there was a lot more going on than that, but these were ones that stuck out in my brain as I was scrolling through doing my research on all of the top headlines that happened in the beauty industry. And I do talk about some of the like top headlines that are happening that are either controversial or like something that comes as shocking to me. And I do have that in like a makeup news series as well. If you guys want to see my 2026 predictions, definitely leave me a comment down below. If you liked this video on a 2025 wrap up, then make sure you subscribe, you like, and I hope I get to see you in my next video.